Welcome back to boltaction.net. Today I have a review of Rubicon Models M8 Scott. It is a 156 scale 28mm plastic kit designed specifically for 28mm wargaming to be used in games like bolt action or any other skirmish level game or higher level game if you're using 28mm figures. This model kit is designed to be able to build both the M8 Scott, the M5A1 Stuart, and there's also an option to the M5A1 Recce. For those of you who don't know the difference, the M8 Scott was had a light howitzer on it and was open topped, while the M5A1 Stuart was a light tank predominantly used by the Allies during the war, and the M5A1 Recce used the chassis of the Stuart but did not have a turret, instead mounted just a 50 cal on it. From my gander at the building instructions, there appears to be two separate turrets so that you can build both variants and or the Recce option. And so with this one kit you can get multiple options. You can swap the turrets out, and so if you want to be able to run a Stuart in one game and a Scott in another, you should be able to do that. There are two sprues that come in the kit. The first sprue is the chassis. It's going to have your tracks, your hull. It even has a Cullen device on the bottom. There seems to be a fair amount of detail. I really like the low number of pieces that this kit has. I prefer building model kits, but I don't necessarily like putting together kits that have 40 pages of rules and over 300 pieces. And I think the Rubicon models so far do a really good job of limiting the number of pieces that you have to use during assembly. The other sprue is going to give you your turret options. So as you can see here, you've got a turret option here, a turret option here. That's going to give you your two turrets for both the Scott and the Stuart option, and then you have a turret ring, which is going to give you the option to build the M5A1 Recce version. The kit also comes with decals to be able to run both American and other Allied lists or versions of the tank. So if you want to run Brits or you want to run Americans or Canadians, you should be able to do that with these decals. And there's also a very detailed instruction manual. The instruction manual, as you can see, is only a couple of pages long, and I'm really excited for that. Like I said, I think that it's going to be a really easy kit to build. I'm going to go ahead and take a break here. I'm going to build the kit, and I'll show you what it looks like when I come back. Alright, welcome back. So that took me probably about 15-20 minutes to assemble, which is pretty good amount of time for assembly. I've easily spent upwards of an hour or two on a plastic model kit in the past. Parts went together pretty good, not a lot of complaints. I'd say definitely make sure that you're following directions. I kind of got ahead of myself in a few spots and I've ended up with some wonky attachments, and that's not the kit's fault. That's going to be my fault that there's problems. The other thing is you will be able to do both turrets, but you kind of have to play with the hull a bit because the turret rings for the two options, the M8 Scott and the M5A1 Stuart, are different sizes. So the turrets, you're not going to be able to easily interchange the turrets, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. The other thing is if you're going to do the turrets, you're not going to be able to do the Recce option, as the 50 cal has to be mounted on top of the Scott turret, and the turret ring that you would use for the M5 Recce vehicle is actually the seat for the Scott turret itself, the seats that the crew would normally sit on. So first I'm going to show you up close the vehicle itself. You can see where there's some glue there on the hull, and that's where I'm going to show you that where the exchange happens with the two turrets. You can't glue the hull down because of those two different size turret rings. So instead what you have to do is attach those to the turrets themselves and then place those into that area. So if I have this sitting here like that, I'm going to take this turret here. I'm just going to set that right in that area, and it fits actually really nice. And then you'll be able to spin your turret from there. And as you can see, the turret ring is there along with the top of the hull. It also has, what's really important is it has the right hatches as well. If you didn't do this, you'd have different hatches if you use the one turret ring or the other. And then here's the Scott version, and you see how that fits in there nicely. And then here's the bottom, where you can see the seat and everything, but they are different. You have different size hatches. Now, if you're going to build this, you're going to have to sacrifice the front of the hull here and make a decision as to whether or not you want the Stuart front or the Scott front. If you go with the Stuart front, it has the machine gun, the 30 cal machine gun option in it. If you go with the Scott front, it will not. I went with the Scott front. So the area that I messed up on that you want to be mindful of is with those seats in there. I just thought that they dropped in there and I got ahead of myself and glued. However, there is some little slots that those fit into. You can't really see how it's messed up, but it did get a little frustrating there until I realized that I'd screwed up assembly. So pay close attention to that. The other piece is on the wheels themselves here on the hull. Back behind in this area, there's a panel that glues to the hull itself, and I overdid it on the glue, and there's some holes that these road wheels fit into, and the glue kind of squirted through there and dried, and so I didn't get the cleanest fit, and as a result I ended up with some gaps here and here. And that, again, is not the model's fault, but that's going to be my fault. On the whole, really pleased with how easy this went together. Really pleased that I can switch out between the Scott and the Stuart itself when I'm playing bolt action or any other games. That's really, versatility in models is really appreciated, I know, with gamers, because gaming is not the cheapest hobby in the world, and anytime that you can get multiple uses out of a single vehicle or a single model, the better, because then you have more options for when you show up to play. I'm going to go ahead and take another break here. I'm going to paint these up, and I'll show you what they look like when they're painted, and I'll do a side-by-side comparison with a 1/48 scale M5A1 Stuart that I have. That's going to be a little bit bigger, and I want to show you what that looks like. Alright, so here's the final model. I finally finished painting up my Scott with the Stuart turret alternative. Remember, I built this for the Scott itself, and so the front hull is going to be a little different. The Rubicon model, though, does allow you to switch out between the two fairly easily. So I can do one or the other, which is pretty nice, even though this front part is not going to match up. So if you got some friends who are really into the super historical side and accuracy, they might throw a fit over that. Probably not. I don't know too many people who would, personally. But these are some pretty sweet kits. They painted up really easy. I just did a quick olive drab spray after I primed it. Did some detail work, some weathering, some chipping, using the sponge method, and then called it good. So as you can see, it's complete all the way around. Some really good detail. The detail pops really well too, which I really liked about this model. Very simple to paint. Very cool model, very good model. I do have a 1/48 scale version of the Stuart with me here today as well. As you can see, it is noticeably bigger. This is a gasoline model, all resin kit, and compared to the resin or the Rubicon kit, it was significantly harder to put together, like leaps and bounds harder to put together. These tracks had to be assembled individually on this, which was kind of a nightmare, whereas the tracks on this kit are very simple to put together. Overall, I really enjoyed the build. I really enjoyed this Rubicon kit. Kits like these sometimes make me jealous of the fact that there's so much more available in the 156 scale as opposed to the 148 scale. Although I do like 148 scale better, I just think this scale looks better, especially with a lot of our heroic scale miniatures when they come on the bases. But if you are doing 146, you're getting anything from Warlord or many of the other manufacturers out there, definitely check out Rubicon. It's a great model kit. Great company, really nice models, really great. They'll make really great additions to your American force, or probably any of your other forces if you're going to go with any of Rubicon's other models that they are currently making. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're interested in getting up-to-date notices on any other videos that we might be doing regarding reviews, battle reports, things like that for the Bolt Action Alliance. Make sure to check us out on Facebook and at the wwpd.net, part of that group as well. Again, thank you, and we'll see you next time. Happy gaming.